Welcome, y'all. So let's get started on this. Here, we're going to start going on to question one. And so in question one, it says Roya paid $48 for 12 cartons of orange juice. What is the unit price per carton of orange juice that Roya paid? So unit rate just means how much it costs per one carton, right? Unit means one. And so we can set this up. We can have OJ on the left, price on the right. And what we were told is that they paid $48 for 12 cartons. And so to figure out how much one carton costs, we know anything divided by itself is 1. And so whatever we do to the left, we do to the right. And so here we know 48 divided by 12 is 4. And so this means that one carton costs $4. All right, let's do question 2 real quick. So a computer is regularly priced at $380. Over the holiday weekend, the store offers 15% discount. How much money would you save if you bought the computer over the weekend? So we have our discount and the total cost as the whole. And so we would set this up as 15% of, and so we know of means multiplication, $380. We know percent is just per 100, so this is 15 over 100 times 380. And so we know we want to put this over 1 because we're doing a fraction times the whole number. And now we can multiply across. 100 times 1 is 100. And so we do 15 times 380. So we start with our 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 8 is 40. So we bring down our 0, regroup our 4. 5 times 3 is 15. Plus 4 is 19. And so we're done with that 4. And now we move over from the ones place to the tens place. And because we're going from the ones to the tens, we're changing place value. So this means we need a placeholder. And so now we do what our 1. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 3 is 3. So now we can add this. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 9 plus 8 is 17. Regroup our 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. So this means we get 5,700. And what we know is that if it ends in a 0, right, we can cross it out. And so this number ends in a 0, and we're still dividing by 10. So that means we can cross it out. And so that means 57 divided by 1 just tells us that we end up saving $57. So our sentence frame would be, we save $57. I know this because 15% of 380 is 57. And or you could explain kind of the work you did there with your fractions. Someone's at my door, so I need to go get that. All right, so for question 3, we have on opening night of a new movie, a local movie theater can sell 612 tickets and sold 90% of this tickets. In the theater, how many tickets did they sell? So we changed this question a little bit just because almost everyone solved it this way, and I kind of led y'all to do it that way and whatnot. And so we did change the question a little bit on here just so it makes sense, because actually we need to do it a different way. And so here, this is saying that they can sell a total of 612 tickets and that we sold 90% of them. And so that means we need to find 90% of, and of means multiplication, 612 tickets. And so 90% is just 90 over 100 times 612. And so we do 612 over 1. And so we want to multiply across. 100 times 1 is 100. And so we do 90 times 612. So we start off with a 0. We know anything times 0 is 0. So 0 times 2 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. 0 times 6 is also 0. Now we're moving over from the ones place to the tens place. And whenever we do a place value shift, when we go from the ones to the tens, we need a placeholder. And so now we do 9 times 2, which is 18. We regroup our 1. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So we regroup our 1. And then 9 times 6 would be 54. 54 plus 1 is 55. So we end up getting 55,080. So we do 55,080 over 100. And so now, again, we can only cancel out the zeros on the end. And so you see how that it ends in an 8 now? That means I can't cross out the 8 in the 0 because it doesn't end in a 0. So that doesn't mean you cross out this 0. You can only cross out the zeros if they line up by place value. That's a lie. Sorry. If it ends in a 0. And so we cross out this 0 because it ends in a 0. We can't cross out the 8 in the 0 because that's an 8. And again, you can't skip and then cross out this 0 now. That's not how it works. And so we end up getting 5,508 over 10. And so now we can do our number sense, right? Because you don't actually need to divide here. And so we're dividing by 10. So that means that this invisible decimal here, I can move over to the left one time. And we end up getting 550 and 8 tenths, which we can say is about 551. So we can say they sold 551 tickets. I know this because, and now we can restate it with our math. We can say 90 over 100 times 612 equals 55,080 over 100, and 55,080 over 100 is 550.8, which is rounded to 551 tickets. Bam. All right, let's talk about question 4. And so question 4 says, Mr. DeMille has graded 3/5 of his students' math projects. What percent of the projects has Mr. DeMille graded? And so what we know here is that percent is equal to part over whole. And so here I can have my percent, right, is equal to 3/5, right? And so I did 3/5. And we know percent, right? Percent is per 100. And so that means I can set this fraction equal to a denominator of 100. So I asked, what can I do 5 times some number to get to 100? Well, I can do division here, right? 5 goes into 1 0 times. 5 goes into 10 2 times, right? Bam. 10 minus 10 is 0. Bring down our 0. 5 goes into 0 0 times. We have nothing left to carry down, so we know 5 goes into 120 times. So I can multiply the bottom by 20. Whatever I do the bottom, I do the top. And so 3 times 20 gives us 60. And so this is 60 over 100, which is just 60 per 100. And so that means this is 60 per 100, which is also 60%. So equals 60%. And so I can say Mr. DeMille graded 60% of the projects. I know this because excuse me, 3/5 can be scaled by 20, right? Scaled by 20 just means I multiply the top and bottom by 20 to get 60 over 100, which is 60%. Bam. And so now let's continue on to question 5. So in question 5, we have Lynn's family has completed 70% of a trip. They have traveled 35 miles. How far is the trip? And so we're giving a number line to help us in this situation. So on this number line, we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 equal groups where it's at 35. So I need to ask myself, how do I split 35 into 7 equal groups? Well, that's just 35 divided by 7, which is 5. So this means I can skip count by 5. And so I go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and then 50. And finally, I start here. Again, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 equal groups. And so I split 70 into 7 equal groups, which just means I skip count by 10%. So 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, 80%, 90%, and then 100%. Bam. And so the question is, how far is the trip? Well, 100% of the trip is just 50 miles. Bam. All right, let's do question 6. All right, and so now I have question 6 here. Here we have there are 25 pieces of fruit in a bowl. 6 of them are apples. What percentage of the pieces of fruits are in the bowls that are apples? Well, again, it's just like our prior problem where it's percent is equal to part over whole. And so the total amount of fruit is 25, so that's going to be our whole. And then the number that are apples, our part is 6. So I can set this up as 6 over 25. And we know percent is per 100. So I can set this up as a denominator of 100. And so what do I multiply 25 by to get to 100? If you don't know that, we can skip count. So 25 plus 25 is 50. Then we can add another 25, we get 75, and then one more, we get 100. So how many 25s did I add? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so that means I can do 25 times 4. Whenever I do the bottom, I do the top. So 6 times 4 is 24. 24 per 100 is just 24%. And so we could say that the apples represent 24% of the fruit. And we can say, I know this because 6 over 25 can be scaled by 4 to get 24 over 100, which is 24%. Bam. And so that was question 6. Now we can move to question 7 and be finished with our revision. Woo. All right. So Elena and Jada are racing each other in a marathon. Elena runs at a constant speed of 5 miles per hour. And Jada walks at a constant speed. So Jada walks at a constant speed of 3 miles per hour. How far apart will Jada and Elena be after 4 hours? Well, we can first need to figure out how far Elena went, and then how far Jada went. And so Elena, right, if we start by hours in distance, Elena can go 5 miles per hour, and per hour means per 1 hour. So in 1 hour, they go 5 miles. And then Jada, again, is hours in distance. In 1 hour, Jada can go 3 miles. And so we want to know how far apart would they be in 4. So let's figure out how far they are after 4 hours, right? Notice how I set it up on the hour side. And so I do 1 times 4 is 4. Whatever I do to the left, I do to the right. 5 times 4 is 20. And then Jada, right, you multiply 4 on both sides. 3 times 4 is 12. And so this means she goes 20 miles in 4 hours. And here is 12 miles in 4 hours. And so then 20 minus 12 equals 8 miles apart. And so we would say that Elena and Jada are 8 miles apart. And we'd say, I know this because Elena travels 20 miles in 4 hours, while Jada travels 12 miles in 4 hours, which has a difference of 8 miles. And so all we said is that they're 8 miles apart. And then we said, I know this because Elena travels 20 miles in 4 hours, while Jada travels 12 miles in 4 hours, which has a difference of 8 miles, which is why they are 8 miles apart. Good job, y'all, and let's get it.